night before your induction. Turn up, like if I have to go dun dun dun.
It was like that.
It was like that. It was the night before your induction that you did not want, that you worked so hard not to have, right?
So about a month leading up to, I guess 2 months before my due date, I started doing the little things. I drank the raspberry leaf tea.
Mm-hmm.
I ate the figs, and I have
Mhm.
been active my whole pregnancy.
Mhm.
I've been going on really long walks, like a solid 1-2 miles a day,
Mhm.
sometimes even way more. My blood pressure started creeping up,
Mhm.
around that time. And at first it wasn't a really big concern because it was only a little bit elevated, but it just kept going up and it never stopped. And then I started getting swelling,
Mm-hmm.
and it got to the point where the birth center said that they could not keep me there because I was
Mhm.
too much of a risk, because at
Yeah.
that point I was in the preeclampsia
Yeah.
state.
Yeah.
I started panicking and I started doing more things.
Mhm.
I did curb walking.
Mhm.
I continued doing, 2, 3, sometimes 4, 5 miles a day of regular walking.
Mm-hmm. Which is a lot.
It's a lot, yeah, especially when you're 200 pounds at that point. And I did squats and lunges, and in a final act of desperation the night before, I did the castor oil cocktail,
Mm-hmm.
and that one worked.
Welcome to Positive Birth Stories. I am your host, MaryNissi, where we talk about positive birth, okay? This is where we are changing the narrative one positive birth story at a time. And I have today, drum roll, I have Anna here with us to share her story, and I just cannot wait to dive into it. Tell us about your background. What age were you, like when you were giving birth?
So I was 30 when
Okay.
I had my first child, and I am an immigrant from Russia, so
Mhm.
I grew up very independently.
Mhm.
I was the go-to person in the family because I was the older of 2 children. I was the one who did all of the communication, set
Mhm.
up all of the appointments,
Mhm.
did everything.
Everything. Yes.
Because my parents did not
Speak
speak English. And
Yep.
to this day, my parents still rely on me for that stuff.
Isn't that crazy? You're like, I have
Speak English now.
So my parents speak English, but I am the oldest as well. So like, just I guess that's like the immigrant life, right? Like if you're the oldest and you speak English, you do it all.
That's right. You're the default child.
You're the default child. Even if you have your own kids. I'll be like on the phone, like, I am a grown woman, but I am still.
It's like, why am I making your appointments for you?
For
You should be doing that for me.
I also have to make these appointments for my kids. And yeah. Okay. So tell us what did planning look like for you with your pregnancy?
So, because of my background,
Mhm.
I inherently have been very independent, and I'm very quick to do further research before just taking someone's word and going with it, because I've learned that there's usually more to the story. There are usually a lot of nuanced situations, and it's not just clear cut. So whenever someone tells me an answer to something, I always look a little further
You're
into
like,
it.
tell me, let me find out more information.
Because there's always more information, and the person doesn't always choose the right path for you. They choose the right path for them. They choose the right path in terms of liability. They choose the right path in terms of, financial implications. So I always do my research. So going into this, I had absolutely no experience in the medical field. I work in IT. I'm as far removed from medicine as I think you really could possibly be.
That's fair.
So I knew that I had to do a lot of research. So I started reading books, and I read a lot of books.
Do you know how many books you read?
Easily about 20 pregnancy and birth books.
Oh, wow.
Easy. Because I remember when I posted them to give away after I gave birth, one of my friends commented on the post and said, girl, you've got to be kidding me. I'm like, nope. I was like, I had all of these and I actually read them all.
And I read them all.
I listened to a few podcasts as well. And once I gathered up, you know, on a daily basis, I probably put in like 2 hours of reading / listening to podcasts / other research. I think at the end of my pregnancy, I probably had like a solid bachelor's degree in this.
That's fair.
Honorary degree.
Somebody give it to me because I just did a lot of work.
But I learned that, you know, just as I anticipated, there are a lot of nuances. And this was between the people who I listened to, you know, the midwife podcast, as well as the OB podcasts. I listened to both sides because I wanted to see a wholesome perspective.
Got you.
And all of the situations where people would choose a certain outcome, I feel like a lot of the times they were choosing it for their own benefit as opposed to the patient's benefit. So that's kind of what I gathered from a lot of the OB-centered podcasts and research that I've done. And a lot of the books, they explain to you when certain things are used. Like if you have to, oh my goodness, what is it called when they have to like cut into you to get the baby out?
What, like a cesarean, or are you talking about episiotomy?
Episiotomy. Like the book explains why it's used and when it's beneficial. But the problem is that OBs will have practiced for so long.
Yes.
They'll find like one scenario that they kind of like that works for them, and they try to apply it to all of their patients, whether they're pro or anti. I feel like that's what happens when you work in an industry for so long.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to step back and apply something and apply all of these different things. There's so many aspects of the birth process.
Oh, for sure. And it's consistently changing, too.
It's always changing. But it's hard for these OBs to apply a certain, you know, procedure that fits the patient because they kind of look at the sum of averages and think what on average works best for the clients that I have personally experienced. And that's usually what they recommend, and that's what they apply. And that's what I was seeing through the research. So I figured I'm going to do all of my own research. I'm going to be my own OB.
There you go.
And I'm going to figure out what works for me.
Okay.
So going into it, I knew about the cascade of interventions. I knew that if I agreed to a Pitocin-based induction, I was skyrocketing my chances of a C-section. And I don't think I need to go into like the medical details of how the cascade of interventions works.
Yeah.
Because it's a pretty common one here. But I just was trying to prevent that. And I had an idea from all of my research of how I wanted the birth to be. And I realized that most of the things that the body does, it does, like, the interventions are truly not needed. And there was one particular podcast episode that I listened to, and it was from a very experienced midwife. Her name was Gail, and I cannot remember her last name, but I can look it up later. Her name was Gail, and she delivered like hundreds of thousands of babies.
Oh, wow.
She had like a team of midwives.
Gotcha.
And one thing that really stuck out to me is that her C-section rate was 2 to 3%. And the C-section rate in the United States is 30%.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, she would only bring someone to the hospital for a C-section when they truly needed it. So I think that the 2 to 3% is what the true C-section rate should be.
Oh, wow.
So that shows you how many unnecessary C-sections there are. And it's kind of crazy. So I didn't want that. I didn't want that for my birth. I wanted to be well informed, and I wanted to trust my body and give it the opportunity to do what it's supposed to do. So I went in and I did the castor oil cocktail the night before when I was, in a state of desperation. Nothing else was working. And of course it wasn't working. I was only 37 and a half weeks along. I was not that close to my due date for anything to really work.
That's right. And we know that, like, first-time parents, right? Like, the average when you actually go to birth is 41 plus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, not that people don't go earlier, but I think even just knowing that like 37 weeks can be full term,
Yeah.
but as a first time,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? As a first time mom, yeah, it's normally later.
So I was totally doing this out of desperation because I knew those facts
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
I knew that
You
the
had
average.
read it.
I knew all the facts, and I knew that I was working against the odds here, but I was still trying.
Mhm.
But I figured if I throw enough stuff at it, maybe
Something
something will
happen.
stick. But yeah, I mean, I did all of the things. I did everything in terms of exercise.
Yes.
I did, the nipple stimulation. We
Yes.
had lots of sex.
Yes.
Like, and maybe it all
came together.
Maybe
yeah.
all of it played a little part, or maybe the castor oil just did the trick, but I didn't take a lot of it. I followed your advice. I took, what was it, like a tablespoon or something? Whatever it was absolutely disgusting.
Wait, did you just take a shot of it?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Do not do at home.
Oh, it was the worst thing ever.
But you did say it was desperation. So you're reading books, obviously. You hired a doula because you called me.
Yes.
A longer story of how you found me, by the way, because that was hilarious. What else did you do, like, in preparation? You did classes? You had done classes, right, before we met?
Class with you, but I didn't really focus on classes. I just did a ton of research. I didn't do a lot of, like, practice. I didn't really do the affirmations or the meditation.
Yeah.
For me, I'm not really that kind of person. I can't really practice something that hasn't happened yet.
Gotcha.
It just doesn't click in my mind. It seems silly. And I tried to do it once and I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I didn't do it again. So no, I did absolutely no practice.
But 20 books is your
20
thing.
books, isn't that enough? It's a good start.
What made you, like, get a doula? Because I was not your first option. I remember that part.
No, you were not. And because you knew my first option.
Yes.
Yeah, you were the first person who I
Correct.
interviewed.
Correct.
So I was living in a Black community, and some of my best friends were Black, and not intentionally, but some of the podcasts that I was listening to were led by Black midwives and Black OBs. And so a lot of things that they were saying about, the birth positive movement and a lot of the disparity that the Black population is witnessing in their birth outcomes are specifically being attended to by Black birth workers such as yourself. So I was looking for someone in that community because I felt like I connected to that better than to someone who just works with people who don't normally have to struggle with those issues.
Gotcha.
So my other doula option was also someone who actually lived in my community in North Philadelphia.
Right. I was gonna say, you have a whole, like, if you're from Philly, you know that North Philadelphia, is, well, I guess is it changing now?
Well, Philadelphia,
it's predominantly Black.
Well, Philadelphia is the blackest city in the United States.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah. I did not. I knew that it was more than New York. I did not. And that's part of why I love Philly. I'm like, Yeah.
It's very diverse, but it's also the blackest city in the entire country.
Right. And that's what you've been around, like, when you moved to here, right? Is that what you had mentioned?
Yeah. And the neighborhood that I lived in was actually the town where Juneteenth originated.
There you go.
So it has a lot of really deep cultural roots.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so the other doula that I interviewed with, she was also from that community. Yeah. And when I interviewed with, like, I didn't feel uncomfortable with her, but I didn't feel like we clicked. And then when I spoke with you, I feel like we clicked. And then later I learned that you were an immigrant, and I was like, well, maybe that's why.
Right.
Is
it the immigrant part?
I think it might be the immigrant part, but it's just like I felt like we understood each other.
Yeah. Okay, we gotta talk about this a little bit. I don't think I ever told you this. Our phone call, because you and I only talked on the phone.
We did. I didn't even meet you. I just talked to you on the phone, but immediately I was like...
You did not... I don't know if you knew what I looked like. I didn't know what you looked like.
No, I knew what you looked like.
Okay. I think... I was like, I don't think she... That makes sense. I didn't know what you looked like. In our phone consultation, I don't know if you remember this, it was about an hour.
I believe it. I don't remember it, but I believe it.
And I got off the phone like, I don't know what happened. I've never talked to somebody that long.
Really?
And she just said, because I think you told me that you're like, oh, okay, so what do I do now? Like, you hired me after the phone call. And I was like, but you haven't met me. This was just the first part.
I was like, I don't need to meet you. Like, I've talked to you for an hour. Like, we're good.
It was like, I would never forget that. I was like, I have to tell her this. I would never forget that.
So you normally meet people? What?
So right, you're like, we need to. So what we do is we do a phone call, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, so we do emails obviously first, and then we do like let's do a quick phone call, and then if we can't see each other, we do like a Zoom. Like you see me, I talk to you, I talk to your partner, and all of this. None of that happened between you and I. You were just like, oh, okay, can I just pay you when you come for like the first visit? I was like, what just happened? We already told them about what happened the night before. Now it's the next day. Castor oil worked. Take us to the birth story.
So I had an induction appointment at Cooper University Hospital in Camden, New Jersey.
Which is not in Philly.
Not in Philly, but I had horrible health insurance, and that was the closest hospital that was covered.
That.
And that morning I woke up, it was around 10 o'clock in the morning, and I felt like a strong kick and a pop, and my water broke. Yeah. And I was just like, and I told Ryan, I was like, Ryan, I think my water broke. And she's like, okay, sure, whatever. like you've been super dramatic and completely insane these last 2 weeks. Like I'm gonna take whatever you say with a grain of salt.
Also, let's just mention that Ryan is the opposite of Anna. Very calm.
The down to earth,
the down to earth,
grounding person that I desperately need.
Yo, I'm like, when I first met, I didn't know what to expect. When I first Ryan, he was just like chilling.
Well,
like,
can you imagine me marrying my twin?
No,
like two of
absolutely.
me would never work. We would. I mean, we wouldn't even be talking because we've
like,
already been divorced.
Right? He's like, what are you? This is not working. So he says, okay, sure, your water broke,
but I started getting like period like cramps.
Okay.
And I was like, could these be contractions? But then they started getting like a little bit stronger. And I was like, I think these are contractions. I was like, so we started timing them. And they were like pretty close together. They were, I think they were already like within the first hour, they were like, I think like maybe like 3-ish minutes apart. So everything happened really fast, and they were getting pretty strong pretty quick. So I called you.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, yeah, that's the castor oil. It's known for the quick, the quick ramp up. And I was like, all right. I was like, well, this is getting like pretty intense pretty quickly. So I'll be cool with like heading over to the hospital pretty soon. Yeah. And mind you, also, this was counterintuitive to me because I knew that first births tended to usually take about 36 hours.
Yeah.
So on one hand, I didn't really want to rush it, but on the other hand, I was like, well, this like seems pretty intense. I'm like, I also don't want to be like in like full blown labor in the car driving over the
across
Ben
the
Franklin bridge. No, thank you. So we were heading over. And so as we were driving over the bridge, we get a phone call from Cooper University Hospital.
Yeah.
And they said, hi, you have an induction scheduled today. And we're like, yeah, we're aware. And they're like, well, we're going to have to reschedule it because we're fully booked.
Crack it up. Right.
And we're like, well, that's not happening because we're in labor.
On our way.
And we're like, we're already crossed the bridge. We've already paid the toll, so there's no turning back now. And she's like, oh, okay, well, then come on over. So they never had a room for us. So we were in triage. The entire
labor was in triage.
It was so uncomfortable. They tried to hook me up to like IVs. And do you remember I refused everything? Because I knew that they were going to try to pull some crap. And so I was like, no, I'm already in labor. Clearly my body knows what it's doing. Don't touch me.
Yep.
Get away.
That was your birth
Leave
plan.
me alone.
That was your original plan, right? Like, especially that's why you went to a birthing center, because you're like, I know that the birthing center is going to support this, and because things changed, now you're in a hospital setting, and the one that we went to specifically, which I found out more things after, what kind of hospital it is. It was just helpful. It was helpful information to be like, oh, okay, like now we know, they tend to deal with like more like high risk births. They're good at it. They're very good at it, right? But you wanted a non-high high risk birth. I remember like the OB came to me. Do you remember this? I don't know if you remember. The OB like came to me like almost like at my level to be like, have you ever heard of someone not
remember this.
wanting an IV line? Like, she was shocked. Like, her brain could not process it. And I was so confused because, like, how many births have you seen, right? Like, no shade, just like,
Yeah.
oh, there's like a lot of people that don't do IV, right? But, like, in her brain, like, you were crazy, and I was gonna be the person who was gonna help make you do what she wanted. It was
good luck making me do anything. But
have you met? She can advocate for herself. Yeah, that was really interesting. Yeah, I just remember that till today because she was like,
yeah, but the concept, like,
have
yeah.
you ever? I was like, ever? I didn't have an IV line for mine as well. I remember, I did have to like go back and forth with them. Anyway, that was interesting.
But in my mind, it was like, well, I don't want them to have access to my vein to like give me something without my consent because they seem the type that would do that. That was just the vibe I was
You just
getting.
had that vibe, right?
And I
right.
also just didn't want a needle sticking into my arm during
Yeah.
birth. Like that. That's not the vibe I was going for.
Yeah. And you didn't. So this is so interesting, right? We had conversation a while back with someone here in the podcast, and they were saying that they didn't want that, but they had bad veins. Like, and I was like, oh, that's deep.
Wait. Do you remember that part where I told him I was like, I have superior
You
veins?
did.
Do you remember that?
Let me take a second and share with you about the Doula Guide Bundle, something I created after 10 years of supporting families through pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. It includes the same step-by-step tools I use with my clients to help them feel confident, prepared, and grounded. So you can grab the full bundle or get them individually down below. How many hours were you? Do you remember that? Like how many hours you were in there?
So I think it was around 10 a.m. that labor started, and I had him at 8 p.m.
Right, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's
super fast.
Really, really fast. But the thing is that I knew that first labors took a long time, so the whole time I was thinking, like, this, like, what I'm experiencing now is going to last another 24 hours. And I thought I was going to die.
You did allow them to do a cervical check, correct?
I mean, I don't remember if they even asked permission. I feel like that wasn't the type of place. But they were just like, oh, we need to do this. And I was like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess I gave them, like, inherent permission for the checks.
Right. It wasn't informed consent.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they checked, and, you know, I was, like, moving pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I mean, but the whole time I was very uncomfortable. It was a very small room. I had a roommate.
Oh.
The poor lady. Do you remember this?
Wait. Oh my God, I forgot. Why would I forget about that? Oh my God.
Because it was triage, so you don't get your own room.
That's right.
So it was this poor lady who like didn't even speak English.
God, that's right.
And she's also it's maternity ward, so she's also like pregnant, and she's like 1 centimeter dilated.
God, that's
and
right.
she's sitting there like shaking in fear as I'm like yelling, screaming at the top of my lungs. I screamed the entire time.
I don't think you screamed at the top of your
I was yelling the entire time because I did not practice the birth methods. I didn't do any practicing. So all I did was scream because I didn't know what else to do. But I just feel bad for the roommate, really.
Yeah, I remember. Oh my God.
Yeah.
How could I forget that?
But it was really such an uncomfortable setting. And, you know, just knowing that someone is there.
Yeah. You couldn't really move around. We tried the movement.
Yeah, because they still had me like had me hooked up to like the baby monitor, and it wasn't wireless.
Right.
It was like connected to this thing. I remember I tried taking it off a few times, and they were just like, "No, you're gonna have to leave this on.
You cannot take this off."
Yeah, but you know, in retrospect, I don't think it's wrong that they wanted me to keep it on because I did have preeclampsia, and I can understand why they wanted to monitor the baby.
Right.
So I don't think that part was wrong. That one I'm okay with. The IV portal is the one that I really didn't want. They were saying it under the guise of wanting to make sure I stayed hydrated. And I was like, well, I have a water bottle right here. I can drink through my mouth. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Like,
and you're like, I know the things.
Yeah. Well, that came to bite me in the butt because you remember I peed myself when I was pushing? And then my husband was like, oh, you could drink yourself, huh? Well, I was afraid to go to the bathroom the whole time during labor too. Like I was just so uncomfortable.
It was really that. Yeah, it was pretty unfortunate that we ended up in this room because they were full, right? And again, this is some of the things that happened in labor room. Like we had zero control of that, right? We couldn't control that. They were full. They had no rooms at all. And I think I remember at a point I was like, we're gonna have this baby in this room.
I thought we were going to, but at the very last minute, like when they came in and they saw that I was pushing, they were just like, oh, we need to get her in a room stacked. So at that point, a room magically appeared. And I gave birth, what was it, like 5-10 minutes later? It was really quick. But the one thing I remember that really bothered me is that the nurses, I mean, they were so wonderful and kind. But they were telling me when to push and how long to push for because they were used to medicated births. And I was like, well, first of all, you're not telling me at the right time. And like, you're not telling me for the right length. Like, this isn't what I feel needs to be done. But I was so ready for it to be over that I listened to them and I ended up with a 2nd-degree tear. Even though my baby was teeny tiny. And I think it's because I pushed my body to do more and I didn't listen to it. So that part I was a little bit peeved about because I wish like if they had just not said anything and just let me birth, I think I would have skated by with a more minor tear or maybe even no tearing at all. But because they made me make it faster than it was supposed to be, I think that's why I ended up being a little bit injured. So that was a little bit annoying. And then they gave me a Pitocin shot after the birth to, expedite the uterus process. That part I was also a little annoyed about because I was just like, why don't you like let my body try to do it on its own before you do all this extra stuff?
And that's just like a routine thing that they do, and unless and I've had folks who have had like conversations ahead of time but still got it, and it tends to be tricky. It tends to really be tricky with routine things that are done specifically in a hospital setting. Like you have to have those conversations earlier, and you have to hope that they're going to, it's really interesting. And I think that like even doulas find themselves as we're advocating for those things. Like it's sometimes you just don't even see that something happened, right? Because the room when you're pushing, there was, I don't know how many people were in that room. You had the nurses and I don't know, it was like a full room.
It was a full room.
It was a full room.
But I remember saying no to the Pitocin shot.
Yes, you did.
And they still said, well, you need it. We have to give it to you. And at that point, I was so worn down. I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And then I did my research later. And of course, they did not need to give it to me. And I was so upset about that for quite a while. Because I was like, that was so unnecessary. Did it harm me? I don't think so. But it was just the fact, that I told them no, and they still insisted. And in retrospect, I didn't need it. Like, it's my body. I told you no. Like, if my body's having a hard time with the process, then fine, sure, but like give me a chance. They didn't give me a chance.
They didn't give you a chance.
That annoyed me.
Right. And that was when we went back. I think I remember some conversations you and I had afterwards of kind of like really trying to figure out what this hospital was specifically, right? Because it was across the bridge. It was a different state. That was my first time that I supported birth there. And we were at what when you transferred? It was late in the game when you transferred to there. And I think I remember going, I think as a doula, that was kind of like, that was hard for me to be in that space because I was like, I think I don't have enough information about who you all are. And it was after the fact that I was like, oh, this is who you guys are. You guys are like a high risk hospital. I don't know if this is true till today, but that's what we had found out later on.
I believe it is.
Yeah.
I believe it is a high risk hospital. I transferred when I was like 37 weeks to them. Yeah. It was really late in the game. It was like literally less than a week before I actually gave birth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. But the thing is that because they were high risk, so the birth center, they wanted me to get an induction that same day when I was 36 and a half weeks. Because they don't deal with high risk situations. So to them, my situation was like a really big deal. But once I transferred to Cooper, because they see situations like mine all the time, they didn't see it as that big of a deal. And they let me go to 37 and a half. And so that 1 week gave me made time to do something about it. So, I mean, in the end, I'm glad that I went there. It did work out. I just wish that they listened and like kind of gave people a chance to do what their body is naturally supposed to do before forcing things on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like that's just generally the motif of everything birth related. Like, I feel like most places don't give you the chance
to let your body do it. Wow.
Yeah.
So you had your baby unmedicated, because we missed this part of where.
Oh,
because it was
it was almost medicated.
It was right. So your plan was to go unmedicated because you had done all the research and you're like, I can do this. You had been working, like, you had preparing physically, like not physical. You were like, yeah, do 4 miles. I'm like, oh, okay, right. So you had prepared, and then you came to the space in labor where you were in this small behind room, which is not the plan. You have a neighbor. And you were like, this is too much. I'm ready for medication.
So at first I said no to the IV port because I was like, I'm going to have this unmedicated.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to take your stupid, like, epidural shot. I don't need it.
Yeah.
Like, that's not
I'm
me.
good.
I'm stronger than that.
Yes.
Like, I'm not like all these other people.
Yes.
Well, go figure. So later on, once the contractions were like really strong, and like I said, I didn't realize I was so close. I thought because it was my first birth and being, reading up on it as much as I did, I expected this whole process to last at least 24 hours.
Yeah.
And the fact that I was only about 6, 7, 8 hours in, I was like, well, if this is what it's going to be like for the next 12 to 24 hours, it's like, I'm going to need that epidural. So I called them in asking for the epidural, and they were like, well, you're going to need an IV port. And I was like, well, here are my superior veins. But I was so swollen that they were no longer superior.
Oh, my word.
It took them an hour to get that IV port in. And by the time they got it in, it was too late, and I was already pushing. So I didn't need the medication at that point.
Yeah.
But I was like so shaken up. I remember still asking for it. I'm like, it's fine, just give it to me anyway.
Yes. You were like, just yep. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Oh, my word. And your husband was just calm.
He didn't know what to do. He was like, I'd rather be anywhere else but dealing with this crazy lady.
No, you know what it is? I loved how you literally, I mean, obviously, like, knew how to advocate for yourself, what you needed, even when things change, because there is like this inside part that you can control, but there's the outside that you can't, right? And you ended up, you were like, now I feel like I do need medication, and now, like, I want that. Let's try to make that happen, right? Yeah. And before it was like, no, I did not want that. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's kind of like the beauty of like when you're birthing, is that it's a journey, right? You can say, I want this, I don't want that. The whole point is that you were the one who's making those decisions for you, right? When you talk about, like, pushing, getting, Pitocin after, like, you're like, okay, maybe that didn't harm me, but that's not what I wanted. And I said no, right? Like, that advocacy is what, like, goes a long way. Like, I decided that I want this, and I got what it is that I wanted. I changed my mind on this, and that is what I ended up. You know what I mean? Like, it's that part of you taking lead of that journey, in spite of whatever, whatever happens. Okay, so your baby is born. It was one of the quickest births I've ever been part of.
Of course.
Because I called Drew. I was like, I'm on my way. He's like, on your way where? I was like, I'm coming home. Like, we're done now.
It wasn't even that late in the day. It was like 8 p.m. and you were like,
it was literally 8 p.m. You were set up. Oh, I was like, let's make sure you guys get food. And that was it. Like, I had to, I slept that night. Nobody, we don't sleep at night because you're in labor room for a minute. So baby is born. You were well health wise. Did you, and tell us a little bit about, like, that early postpartum. What did that feel like for you?
Oh my goodness. So the thing that really stuck to me is because I had the preeclampsia and the very strong swelling.
Yeah.
I lost 65 pounds while I was in that 2-day postpartum stay in the hospital.
Wow.
I just peed out all of that water, all of that swelling. Wow. 65 pounds of it.
That's significant.
It's crazy. Because like I said, I was 125 before birth. Yeah. I was over 200 by the time I went in to deliver. And just the amount of water weight that I lost was insane. But the postpartum nurses were just so wonderful. Wow. And I mean, of course, at that point I had read up on breastfeeding and stuff, so I did all my research. Yes. Breastfeeding went well with both of my kids. It was a cinch. Yeah. I mean, you just, like I said, you just follow your body. Like, you don't listen to the doctors when they tell you that you need formula. If your child is, like, truly struggling, doctors will try to prescribe formula at any point just to cover their butts in terms of liability. They don't care that it's going to mess with your breastfeeding journey. That's not on them. They want to make sure they're protected, that they didn't miss a failure to thrive condition and lose their license for missing that. So they will prescribe it, tell you to supplement at any point. But yeah, I mean, I never supplemented with him. With either one of them. They just had, breast milk. Yeah, and I really never had any issues with it. My milk took a few days to come in. I knew that was normal, and I knew that all they needed was the colostrum that was there in the very beginning, so I was never worried about it. I can't believe that they're like little NICU babies that are like fed these like, colostrum you only get like a few drops. And they're fed these like entire tubes of formula. Like, they can't handle that. Then they throw up. And it's terrible. Don't these doctors realize that these babies are meant naturally to only ingest like a few drops of food per feeding, and they're trying to give them an entire how big are those like little baby bottles?
Tubes, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? They're like a solid. They've got to be 4 ounces. But regardless, it's too much, and like like these babies, they throw up, and they're just like, oh, we gotta force feed them more. Like, don't force feed the babies. Don't.
Like, I mean, lactation is like a whole.
That's a whole separate.
Oh my word!
Shouldn't be getting into this. This is
I was gonna say well, so I'm also like a lactation consultant. So you are the first person I think who like got all my services. So you did my childbirth classes, my postpartum services, my doula, my lactation. You like, I was like, she got all of them, right? There tend to be options, but I remember that even with lactation, we didn't really need that many visits because you're like,
well, do you remember that I purchased all of your things, but I didn't use anything but the birth. You stopped by for one postpartum visit, and I was just like hanging out. I was like, oh yeah, we're about to go for a walk. You want to come? You're just like, what?
I was like, what? I thought we were gonna meal prep, and
no, I was fine. Like, I was totally fine, and we literally just went on a walk around the neighborhood to pick up a baby food blender from a neighbor.
I remember that too. I remember that.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, maybe, next time we would take the credit to the next baby.
That's exactly right.
What does positive birth mean to you? And what, as we finish up, what's, advice, maybe not affirmation, because that was not your thing. So what's your advice?
So my advice is to follow your body no matter what. As opposed, I mean, of course, take doctor's advice, but also make sure that it's in line with what your body wants, because a lot of times they just give you generic catch-all device or something just to cover themselves in terms of liability. So just do your research, and if it doesn't feel right, it might not be right. And listen to your body in either direction if you feel that something's wrong and the doctor is saying that no, you're fine. Like, you should advocate for that as well. It's not a one-way street. It just, in my situation, it was more so, they're trying to do too much and I don't think I need it.
Yeah.
But the other way around is also very important, because I know that there are cases where someone felt like something was truly really wrong, and the doctors were saying like, no, you're just, this is just normal birth situations, and it wasn't.
Right. And unfortunately we hear that specifically from like Black moms, right?
Exactly.
Like, that's the story that we hear a lot of.
Yes.
Well, like, I'm in pain. No, you're not, right? There's this belief that Black women can, can bear through pain more, right? Which is wild, right? Is that wild?
It's insane.
But yeah, that's really good. That's a really good advice. And what does positive birth mean to you?
So positive birth is a birth that you are comfortable with, no matter what that is. If you want that elective C-section and that's what you're comfortable with, then that is a positive birth. For me, it was, a very different experience.
Yeah.
And that's how I wanted it. A lot of my friends who hear my birth story, it's like their nightmare.
Yeah.
But it was my positive birth, because it's what made me feel comfortable. Because I prefer a lack of interventions. And I prefer to allow my body to do things even if I am in more pain, as opposed to taking the pain medication and, letting that all happen the way that, maybe the medical community would prefer.
Yeah.
So that's what a positive birth is. It's just a way that you would birth to make you feel comfortable. And it looks different for every single person.
Different for every single person. Thank you so much for being here. Oh my word, I need a minute to process it because I'm just like I'm reliving
a lot of
this
memories
week.
are coming back.
So many memories. But thank you so much for being here. We will be back next week for another positive birth story. Share this with a friend. Definitely subscribe and hit that notification button. Thank you so much.